Hi, today we'll be looking at the history of calculus. And more specifically, we'll be asking the question, who invented calculus? Who was the inventor? Well, your answer may vary depending on who you ask. And usually you'll come across two main names, and that's Isaac Newton and Gottfried Leibniz. Now, if you ask Isaac Newton who invented calculus, he'll tell you that he invented calculus. Why? Well, because he invented calculus first. He claims to have started work on calculus as early as 1666 and compiled his work on calculus into his book Method of Fluxon in 1671. However, it's important to note that he did not publish his work. Not published. Okay. If you ask Gottfried Leibniz, he'll tell you that he was first. Or, sorry, that he was the inventor, because he was the first to publish. He started working on calculus in 1674, and published his paper on the topic in 1684. Now, when he published his paper on calculus, Isaac Newton was not happy. He thought that Leibniz plagiarized his work, because he had shared private notes about calculus with members of the Royal Society, and Leibniz was a member of the Royal Society, so he thought that somehow Leibniz got a copy of his notes and decided to pass it off as his own. So, what's the verdict? Did Leibniz copy Newton's notes? Well, likely not. Today, we say that both of them are equal inventors of calculus. And why is that? Well, today, looking back at both their papers, it is clear that they approached calculus in divergent ways. Isaac Newton started looking at calculus first in the form of derivatives, and Leibniz started looking at calculus through the prism of integration. Additionally, they just approached the problem of calculus in different ways, so it is likely that they came across calculus on their own, so we credit both of them for the invention of calculus. Now, the second question we want to ask is not just who was the inventor, but what did they contribute? Well, let's first look at Isaac here. If you know anything about Isaac Newton, it's probably about physics, and probably about his book, The Principia. In this book, he highlighted his laws about physics, and much more. And later, when L'Hopital was reviewing the Principia, he stated that it was nearly all about this calculus. The Principia was basically just Newton's application of calculus in physics. So if you ask, what did Newton contribute to calculus? It is in the form of application in physics and in the other sciences. Let's draw a line here so that we can divide the two scientists and mathematicians. And now let's look at what Leibniz contributed. Well, if you know anything about Leibniz, it's probably about the Leibniz notation, which is probably the most common form of calculus notation used today. This. So, from this, we can probably tell Leibniz was more focused on notation. So his main contribution was in how we write calculus. And in fact, Leibniz was very careful and wanted to make notation that was very clear and understandable. Okay, so in summary, Newton invented calculus first, but did not publish his work. And then Leibniz discovered calculus independently, but did publish his work. So Newton was the first to discover, and Leibniz was the first to publish. Isaac Newton contributed to calculus mainly in the form of applications of calculus. Meanwhile, Leibniz contributed to calculus in the form of notation. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video about the history of calculus.